14 WILI and 95.3 FM presents Hometown Threads, a closer look at our community and the people that make it go. Every week, you'll hear uplifting stories from our local businesses and our neighbors. Now, here's our host for Hometown Threads, Keith C. Rice.
Welcome into episode 48 of Hometown Threads on 14 WILI 95.3 FM and Willimantic Today Facebook. Hometown Threads is on the radio every Tuesday from 5:05 to 5:30, and of course you can catch up on it, the video version on Willimantic Today Facebook. So not only can you listen to the show, you can watch it. Now how that works, as I said, the show airs on the radio, and then usually around Wednesday night, our producer here, J. Matt Rupar, thank you, J. Matt Rupar, will upload it to the WILI YouTube page. I'll share it on my Facebook page, and before you know it, if you follow Willimantic Today, you'll be able to watch the show as well. Hometown Threads comes your way every week, thanks to our great sponsor here, Liberty Bank. Be community kind with three great local locations: West Main Street, Willimantic, Gateway Commons, across the street from the radio station, 679 Main Street, Willimantic, and up the street, Route 195 in Mansfield. Liberty Bank, be community kind. J. Matt Rupar, if you wouldn't mind saying hello to the fine folks.
Hello.
Here we go, episode 48. Bring in a couple of buddies of mine, childhood friends. We grew up sports. We've done radio together, and we're all around the same age. And these guys they grew up with the fire department as well, with two famous fathers, two very well-known dads here in Willimantic. That's bringing Jeff Griffin, a former WILIer, and Anthony. I know you go by Ant. And Jeff and I were talking before we got here. All the years I've known you, Santa Lucia.
Santa Lucia.
Santa Lucia. I said Chia before you got here, but we weren't sure.
I just called him Ant.
Yeah, I know. Keith, Jeff, Ant, and welcome in, guys, for episode 48.
Thanks for having us.
And as I said, well, let's maybe get to the radio thing first, because right before the mics and cameras went on, we were talking about how Jeff and I share a lot of memories growing up here in the early days of WILI. In fact, I think I got you in the door to help me.
Yes, you did.
Help Bueno run the board
Absolutely.
for UConn games, Celtics games, Red Sox games, and Ant went by an alias, Steve Milano, back in the late 80s at 90.1, the Eastern station, WECS. And I used to listen to you when I was in high school.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I kind of stumbled into that as I was working at Eastern full-time. And one of my students I was working with said, hey, why don't you come over and check out the show? And I went over, and next thing you know, I'm getting a card and getting on the air and having my own rock show, which was a breath of fresh air over there.
He's a rocker, and that's what kind of inspired me. Wayno had hired me around the same time you were at ECS, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, okay, college radio, Eastern UConn, anybody, I guess the public can do a show. This is pretty cool. And then later on, Jeff and I ended up doing a sports show at 90.1. So, I mean, so you did that rock show for how long? About 5 years, is that what you said?
About 5 or 6 years, and then I headed off to the big leagues and went to WACN.
Yeah, you worked for Litch, right?
Worked with Litch and Kat Sinclair.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Pam Brooks, yeah. It was
I tell you,
pretty
radio
awesome.
was a lot of fun. Not that it isn't now, but back in the day it was a little more fun. Jeff,
Yeah.
So Jeff and I shared a lot of moments in this very studio.
The shot.
You want to talk a little about that? It was
Tate George's shot, Sweet 16 against Clemson.
December. March of '90.
March of 90. So we're sitting here, and
Jeff's running the board.
the week before we had Bob Husler, who made the call on our radio show, and we were always like, he's so, he's very calm, very cool, doesn't get overexcited. And then the shot happened, and we're jumping up and down crazy, and then I realize Bob is yelling so much that it's pinned. the volume is so pinned. He hit the shot, and
George hits the shot from the right side of the lane, and UConn wins it 71-70.
And then we went from that high, and then we went for Leitner killing us that Saturday.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah,
Jeff.
well,
Nobody's right.
The good with the bad.
Talk about going from high to low. Within 2 days, within 48 hours, Jeff and I are sitting here, we hugged each other.
Yeah,
we
we're jumping up and down like crazy.
We knew we were going to remember that moment for the rest of our lives as we're talking about it years later. But then, 2 days later, I'm at my cousin's in Vernon, and I'm sitting there going, what just happened?
Yeah.
So we share a lot of memories on the radio side of things. We grew up all playing Willimantic Little League Baseball. Both of you, obviously, and it makes sense, played for the Willimantic Firefighters. And your father was a coach, and your father was a coach too, right?
Yes. So we never got a break.
Oh, no.
Bad game. The rest of the kids, they left. I woke up the next morning. You know what you did yesterday?
Really?
Oh no, yeah.
Jeff's father, the late John Griffin, and of course your
Yeah.
dad, Tony Tony Santalucia. There, I said it right. I didn't think about it. Both
Yeah.
fantastic men. So yeah, you're both. Would your dad do that too? You know what you did wrong?
I was out in the backyard the next day.
yeah, that was that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
That would happen. He's like, yeah, you drop that ball, go out there, throw the tennis ball against the wall, catch everything. You don't catch, And
So they really right after the game. No rest for the
there was
weary.
no rest for the weary. No.
Wow.
But I wouldn't change it for anything.
No, not at all. And I had
No.
Dad as a basketball coach at St. Mary's as well.
Oh, that's right. Aunt and I went to St.
Yeah.
Mary's. Shared a few years there before I left. Well, I know you're a couple years older than me, but I left after sixth grade. But you finished, and that's right. He coached basketball as well. Tell us about. Let's go back to the reminiscent of the Willimantic Little League days. The firefighters. Now I know. Were you guys in the league when Billy Gottlieb hit the? I always have to bring this up. The famous Billy Gottlieb home run.
Billy's younger than me by a year because he played with me at
Tech, right?
At Tech, he played with me.
He's a
So
little
that
younger
was that was
1984.
That was 84. That was the year my
That was-
brother was born.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah,
Tyler
I
was
was
born
born
in
in
'84.
84.
Okay, we'll get to Tyler Griffin, of course, on the town council.
Yes, town
right?
council,
We all know Tyler Griffin. That's Jeff's younger brother. So I played for medical pharmacy. That medical Pulaski series was unbelievable. Billy, as you guys know, we just mentioned Billy Gottlieb, Jeff Buskey on that team, Josh Dunnick. It was loaded. And but yeah, that was I know you guys probably were out of the league, or you probably just both of you probably went on to senior league at that point. Right?
84. That would be freshman in high school for me. So it was
Yeah.
it was
I was at the
basically
senior
it was senior
Did you
league
play
in high
senior
school.
league too?
For a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I know you played baseball at Tech.
Yes.
All 4 years. Right?
Yes. Yep.
All. Did you do anything at Tech?
No, I was soccer and basketball at Tech, but I never got onto baseball.
Okay. All right.
They were really good back then.
Yeah. Oh, Tech and
Yeah.
baseball.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
You're damn right we were.
So yeah, all 4 years. We'll talk a little Wyndham Tech baseball.
With
You guys-
Coach Savitsky,
Okay.
Steve Savitsky,
And you were good all 4 years. That you were?
we made the states all 4 years. I mean that we were okay. We didn't get far in the states, but we held our own in the old QVC league, which is that's
That's right now. It's
Conference
the
League. I don't know what it is
ECC
now.
is Wyndham or something.
And we were the Beavers back then. And
That's
still,
right. What are they now?
And that's still a sticking point with a lot of the alumni that they changed it from the Beavers to the Tigers without
That's
letting us know they
Oh my-
weren't to do that. My cousin went to Tech and said, "Oh, we're the Tigers," and I went, "What do you mean you're the Tigers?" So that was a sticking point. We've all
My nephew actually was 3 years as a Beaver, and it changed in his senior year.
yeah.
That's
it
got to
just-
be tough. That's a whole other story.
Yeah, that is, but-
Washington and Cleveland, but we won't go there.
I know.
And so you now, Ant, you played soccer and basketball there.
Yeah, and that was with Coach Elliott back
Yeah.
in the day,
Right, Elliott.
who was one hell of a guy. And then soccer with Charlie Reyna. And, man, we had some good soccer teams. And
Yeah.
we had played a lot of different schools and did really well. It was great fun.
Jeff Griffin and Ant Santalucia with us here on Hometown Threads, episode 48, brought to you by Liberty Bank, Be Community Kind on 14 WILI, 95.3 FM, and Willimantic Today Facebook. Let's talk about growing up in this town. What kind of memories do you guys have from growing up? We all grew up together. It was such a. I mean, I don't.
We're firefighter kids.
Right.
Yeah, and that's
So I know you probably have a ton of stories. If you
Yeah.
want to start there, fine. You both grew up around the Willimantic Fire Department, so
Yep.
tell us about that.
Yeah, it's such a family, even still today. We all, even if we haven't seen each other in a while, when we needed something, we'd be there for
and
each
it
other.
just picks right back up where we left off. I mean,
Yeah.
we were in the heyday of the kids, so to speak. We started going to the firehouse when it was across the street where the drive-in for the Berkshire Bank or the old Savings Institute is now, and the back of that was Surplus Center.
That's right.
So that was the old firehouse, and that was the hangout. I mean, that was the hangout.
And how old were you guys when you give me the were you guys used to hang out from when to when?
I was about we were 7
Oh,
to
I was-
9 when we remembered it really, because I mean,
Yeah, I would hang out there a lot because my father, when he had to go to work, he would drive me to the firehouse, and then I would walk to St. Mary's from there.
and it was,
You know?
my mom worked at Savings Institute, so I'd get out of school.
Did she?
Yeah, my mom worked upstairs. She was a teller, and then she was, when they first were doing the checking accounts, she was upstairs. So if my dad was working, I'd go to the firehouse, and I'd go home with Mom. So we lived there. I mean, with Susie, the Dalmatian, and we, we were the cool kids.
And then Lucky.
And then Lucky. And then we were the cool kids, though, like when the schools had their little trips at the firehouse. All the kids were like, "Oh, your dad, you get
Your
to do
dads
this,
were
you
legends
get to-"
there. I mean,
Well,
talk about some of the guys that your dads
everybody was a legend there.
No, I know. There was a great team. I shouldn't say just.
Yeah, no,
you know,
no,
I know
yeah.
you guys. I'm just biased because I grew up with you guys. I
Yeah,
knew
no.
your dads and the impact they had, not only with the fire department, but on the community as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Both your dads, and as well. And go ahead and name some of the other guys that were on that
Dave
team.
Maynard,
Gary,
Maynard,
my father-in-law, Gary
Gargone, Gary
Yep.
and Bobby Gargone.
Gargoni.
Yeah, Milt Shippey.
Careful with that.
Yes, it's Hill, Shippey, Bert
Cool.
Kopish.
Yeah.
Wow, that's right.
I mean, there
Yep.
was.
And they did so much more. Like we had the telethons, and
Yep.
they used to shut down Bank Street.
That's right.
and had
Yeah,
all the-
Jerry Lewis
Jerry Lewis
Telethon.
Telethon.
had all the
was always-
games and
my
the
father-in-law,
Fed races.
Gary tells me he was a big part of that, as well
Oh
as
yeah,
your father.
always,
was.
Oh, yeah.
always. I mean, that
Yep.
was.
Did you guys hang out during those telethons?
Oh, yes.
Oh, we would
yeah.
start.
Did I try and get on TV?
No, we would pull the all nighters. That was the big thing for the
Did you?
for the kids. We
What did
were
they have for the kids to pull
answering the
We
phones.
answered the phones, and we would go in the costumes for the kids.
Kids.
We would go in the dunk
Dunk
tanks and whatever. And we
Really?
Oh yeah, no, we would do
Yeah.
everything. And I mean, there were some good times there. I mean,
No
like I
doubt.
said, we all grew up between like 69, a bunch were born, and then 70, a couple years after that. So there was about 15, 20 of us total.
You had
out
a
of,
crew.
out of the 25 members at the time, there was like 15 kids that we all just.
And all the things we used to do together. We,
Oh, yeah,
we would
yeah.
go to games together, Whalers
Red Sox
games, Red
games,
Sox
Whalers
games,
games.
Picnics at Mr. Therio's house.
Oh yeah, oh yes, oh.
And-
the-
and-
And name some
summer,
of the other kids that were in this group
Um,
that you guys are talking about here.
there was no Kopish.
Palmer, right?
Yep, who's
Deputy Chief
The
Palmer.
Deputy Chief Ron Palmer. yeah.
Kevin
Kevin
Therio,
Therio,
who's
who's
a
the captain, who's
and
retiring
talked
this
to him.
year. Yep.
Kevin's sister Lisa was
Yeah.
was my age, along with
the Bolio
Cindy
boys.
Shippey.
Oh, that's right. I had
All the
Eric in here
Bolio.
with. I used, of course, he works at Schiller's now.
Yep. Eric and all them
Yep.
guys. Who else
Yeah,
we
the
got?
Marshies.
The
Oh,
Marshies.
that's
yeah,
right.
it was just
Yeah.
See, I knew more than
crossweights.
you guys.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah, there was so
some,
many of
and
us.
like we were saying before, we all went to different schools because back then there was Noble, there was Sweeney, there was St. Mary's, there was across the river. I think might have still had the school. I can't
And
remember.
we were all friends from all these different schools. You're right. You just
Yeah.
named a whole bunch of them. And,
and then
And plus, we had the Y back then too. Which
Yes.
was, there was
Yes,
a lot of
the
sport.
Y.
there was a
You
lot
know,
of sports going on between.
You know, and recently, in the passing of
Ron
great guy,
Ron
Ron
Pirates.
Pirates.
Oh, I
I
can't-
mean,
yeah.
I mean, we've
Rest-
all
You know,
what a
between
legend.
Coach Riz for me, and then Ron, more for Ant because he played more basketball than I did. But those guys, they were the best.
I want to tell a quick
Yeah.
Ron story, and I want if you guys have a Coach Riz story, please share because it's we're talking about the community, and that's what Hometown Threads is all about. We bring in business owners here and there. We bring in people from the community just to share great stories. This isn't really a Ron story, but Ron Pires, we only used to coach E.O. Smith.
Yeah,
right.
He was there when I was playing my brief stint at Lyme in 9th and 10th grade, and I think I got it. I got in the end of a varsity game. Maybe it was a JV game. It was 9th or 10th grade. And guess who played for E.O. Smith under Ron Pires? Jeff Calhoun, Jim Calhoun.
Jim
So-
Calhoun, that's right.
well, I had to be guarding Jeff Calhoun, and the only thing I remember, and he was much taller than me, as everyone is still to this day. Jeff Calhoun stood behind the 3-point line and just did this: feed me the ball, feed me the ball. And I go like this, bang, bang. And of course, Coach Calhoun was there watching that game, but Ron Pires was the coach. But I even go back further, as you just mentioned the Y-Amp. And I remember Ron was so good with the kids and just
Always,
I
no
mean,
matter what
even
sport
being
either.
that young, I'm like, wow, this guy,
Yeah.
he made an impact on me as an 8 or 9 year old. Just
Yeah,
a great guy.
And it didn't matter what sport. It was soccer.
And he held
Football,
you.
and
He held
you-
you responsible. He made you a better person.
Yeah.
Not only
More
sports,
importantly.
yeah, but he made
Yeah.
better.
He was a
made
ref
better.
too at the Y, right? For Little Power, was he a coach? I
Well,
can't
he
sure.
did. He did everything.
He did everything.
Because he ran the Y for a
Yeah, he
very
did run
long
the Y,
time.
yes.
You know, so
Good call.
he just did everything.
And then Coach
you know.
Riz is
Yeah, tell us some-
Coach
any
Riz.
Coach
is
Riz
Coach Riz.
stories?
No, I mean everybody that.
Well, we grew up
played-
with Tara. I grew up
Yeah,
with Tara.
yeah. Anyone that's played with Coach Riz or any of his sons and
Oh, yeah.
Tara, just know the passion he has for the game, the knowledge he has for the game, and
The knowledge
it's
is
unbelievable.
unbelievable. You ask him about any stat.
And he was
Any player,
and he could tell
he's
you.
got
And
it.
in all those years coaching Eastern, excuse me, he was a great guy. Them two, that's a generational
And I grew up 2 houses down from them.
That's right.
That's right.
on
Pleasant Street.
Right. Pleasant Street.
Let's see if I
strong.
can name any. You, Risley's. I'm trying to think. There's a bunch of other. I used to live on Adams Heights.
There was the
So I come
Flouchers.
down Card Street. Right, the Flouchers.
They were in between us and the Riz.
That's right.
And we not for nothing, but I'll tell you,
Pahowdy lived around the corner.
Yeah,
Piscatello's.
Mrs. Riz. She didn't hold no punches. It didn't matter.
She drove a bus.
She drove the bus.
God rest her
And I'll
soul.
tell you, I got kicked off that bus a couple of times. It didn't matter that I lived 2
Merle?
houses down.
The late and great Merle Risley
Merle
kicked
Risley.
your butt off the bus.
Oh yeah, it didn't matter. That was you learned lessons.
She was
Yes.
what a great family
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Tara's doing a great job at the rec department.
She is. And then also just down a couple houses down from that, Roy Dingler, who has the
That's
log
right, the
cabin
Dinglers
with the
too.
great,
You can go right down the line there.
great light shows every year at his house, and now doing it down here on Main Street, helping out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, speaking of that general vicinity, we had the corner store, which I used to walk from Adams Heights to get my pack of baseball cards. And then, of course, when I was at my cousin Jeff Bennett, who lived up on South Street, we'd walk to Southside Super Rec.
Right.
So back
Yeah.
then, that
Best
was a
grinders
big
in the
deal.
city at the time.
No.
After Remy's.
Yes,
Of
Remy's.
course.
Oh, Remy's. You can go on and on and on. Let's go back to the firehouse for a second. I want to, when you guys were growing up, walking around there, hanging out with your friends and looking up to your dads and all that, was there any point in time you're like, wow, I want to be a fireman? Or did you know at that age? Tell us how that all worked out.
You want to go first? Or?
Yeah, no, it's always crossed my mind, but it was just like, I just never did it. I just, I wanted to be in radio, to be honest with you, and I told you that. I said I wanted to do radio. Our dads never forced it on us. It was, it's just something, make something of yourself is what my father always said to me. So, and then the opportunity came up to go work for Foxwoods when they started the casinos. And
Tell us what you're doing now. Yeah? Tell us about Foxwoods.
Oh,
first,
Foxwoods, I was one of the first people going to dealer school from Connecticut. It's been 33 years ago last month that I started craft school. Worked at Foxwoods for a couple of years, been in Mohegan, back and forth. Now I'm the surveillance supervisor at Mohegan Sun.
Good for you.
Yeah, so I've been in the
So you
business
left
33 years.
radio, and we had some great times here. And
92-ish.
so you left radio and pretty much went right to Foxwoods,
Yeah,
right?
right
And
around
you were
there.
dealing there for a while.
Yes, I
Wow.
dealt there for 3 years, and then supervisor, pit manager at Mohegan for another 14. The layoff that happened in the recession, then went back as a surveillance person.
You think you can beat me in blackjack?
Absolutely.
And tell us what you're doing, or what you grew up doing after.
Yeah, so I actually always did want to be a firefighter for a long time, but one day at a big fire here in town, my dad actually lost his Scott, which is his breathing apparatus in a fire.
Oh my God.
They didn't have the technology they have today. They only, if you remember growing up, we had these little triangle lights.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they used to have on their helmets, and he didn't see something, and it ripped off his mask. And thankfully, Jim Jensen was coming in shortly right behind him, saw him trying to get out, and got him out, and he only had some smoke inhalation, which, for my dad smoking cigars his entire life, it wasn't that big of a deal.
Really?
But that kind of actually scared me off a little bit, and so I ended up at Tech, and I was going to be a machinist, and that didn't pan out well after the Cold War ended. The jobs dried up, and I ended up doing radio at Eastern, and thought that was going to be, my career there. But I ended up at UConn, and
Yeah, what do you do now? You've been up at UConn for years. What are you doing up there?
Yeah, 35 years, and now I run the warehouse at the.
You run it now. Good
Yeah,
for you.
I'm the lead supervisor.
And,
So.
what warehouse is it?
It's the main warehouse right behind the fire department.
Ironic,
yeah,
huh?
yeah.
Hey, you ended up getting
Yeah.
close to the fire department.
So yeah, and it's. I mean,
When do you
Good
retire?
career.
I roll my eyes because I'm jealous. Because a lot of people I know have state jobs. Oh, I'm going to retire. Like my brother-in-law is going to retire probably in a few years. And he's
I
he's
got
younger
about-
than me.
I got about 6 years to go if I stay for the full thing. But there's one part of our benefit contract that's going to end a little earlier, so I might have to scoot out a little early.
Yeah, you have to wear a Yukon sweatshirt every day.
It's a requirement for UConn.
Oh,
if I'm going to be
get
on-
out of here! I was going to say, wait a minute. Was UConn have a dress code or something? No, that's
But,
great. And
yeah.
congratulations.
You guys talk about Tate George shot. I was actually on campus that night.
Oh yeah, where were you during the Tate shot?
So I was at I was working in food service back then actually, and I was with some of my students at their apartment at Celeron, and everybody had just about given up except for me and this one guy, and we're like, there's still hope, there's still hope. And when he hit it, the place just erupted, and we ended up back on campus, and it was one of the most insane things I'd ever seen.
See, that's a great memory for him. We
It
should
was. They were.
Ask Jeff. I gave up too. I started walking around the station. I was bored. I said, I don't want to see this.
I couldn't leave. I still had to sit
Yeah,
here.
Jeff was actually working the game, but yeah, there's just so many. Oh my God, there's so many memories. You can just go on and on and on. And as long as I've known you guys, I know Jeff and I just recently got together, and I didn't know that until you had told me, and now you as well, that you both really loved radio and wanted to pursue it that much. I thought you just liked it. Jeff, I think I got you in, right?
Yes,
Because then
you
you
did.
and I ended up going to do the ECS show.
Yep.
But and let me tell you, Jeff not only ran the games, you did crack the mic and you played. You
cracked
DJ'd
the
every
mic.
now and
Yeah,
you did
yeah.
other stuff
I
around
did
here
other
as
stuff,
well.
yep.
Like you want to share?
Well, I basically, when Gordon Smith was here back in Mike Morissette days, when they went down to Disney, I ran the board up here. I basically produced their show. Gordon took care of me, cracked the mic a couple times on the FM. But I like sitting back here and pressing the buttons and playing the commercials and the carts. And Wayno was needed tape for the Whaler games, so I'd get to go up to the Whaler games with my little press pass and ninth floor, and then go down, come back here, cut it back up. Yeah.
Well, if you like being a producer, if Matt needs some time off, you can step in and help Matt out.
All this technology is too great now. Like I told you, it's been 30
Hey, put it
years
this
since I
way: if
worked in the
Wayno
studio.
can figure out audio, anyone can figure it out. And what about you?
Yeah,
Just I know you got the. You started working with Lich, and whatever happened, you just how'd you get out of it?
So I actually I ended up getting laid off from the HCN group.
You got laid off.
Yeah,
Well,
and
that happens to
I
radio
ended
a
up at CCC for a little while with Mike Caroli, one of the great guys in Connecticut, and unfortunately that station went by the wayside. It's just one of the great rock stations ever. But yeah, I was there for a little while, and same thing there. It kind of just.
What was
faded
your
out.
role there again, though? I mean, you're just,
So at CCC, I did mostly just promotions out on the road. I was at Husky Blues one night. We had Zach Wilde gave away a free autograph guitar.
did they have a name for you too?
And
When
he
you
was
were-
Zach.
no, you. What did they call you? You were just Ant, or
Yeah, over there I was just in. 'Cause
I thought you had
I never
a-
really got on the air over there. But at HCN, when I did crack the mic on the air over there, I was Steven.
All right, so you did promotions. You used to go where again?
Yeah, so we would go at HCN. Oh my God, we had the mother of all luau's, if you remember Cozy and the Horn.
Oh, of course.
They at Lake Compounds. It was an all-day event, from open to close at the park, and then we had Big Head Todd and the Monsters came over. They did an autograph session. We had bands in the little arena they had over there.
You must have seen a lot of great shows.
And it was amazing because we're walking out of the park and it's closed. And Big Head Todd and Monsters, they're like, "Hey, Ian, we want to go on the roller coaster. Can we go?" And I looked at the guy from the park we were walking with, and I'm like, "Can we?" And he's like, "Let's go." So, it's about almost midnight, and I'm riding a roller coaster with Big Head Todd and the Monsters. I mean, that's a good memory right there.
That's great. That's
So-
great. And in our final 2 minutes here, I told you how fast.
Hey,
Me and these guys, man, it's just like we got to catch up more and do an off-air show, like at Tony's Pizza or something.
and doing stuff. We all made it onto the Willie bus when the Red Sox games.
The WILI Red Sox trips that went on for decades.
Decades,
You
yeah.
joined us as well.
Yeah.
You've
Oh,
been
yeah.
on a few of
Yeah.
those. In the closing minutes, I usually throw it out to my guests. Any final thoughts or closing words? But since Jeff lost his father, was about a year,
Little over a year.
little over a year ago.
Yeah.
I would like to ask both of you, and Jeff, I don't mean to put you on the spot. Could you share a great story about your dad, and then Aunt, your dad, if you don't mind? Our final couple minutes.
Okay, so it's a great story to him because he loved to tell it. We used to live on Summit Street, and when the horn goes off here in Willimantic, back in the day, there was a major structure fire. They needed all hands on deck. So my father and I were wrestling, we were goofing around, and he had somehow tied me up with the rope from the robe, and the horn went off, and he immediately ran out the door. So I'm sitting there on the stairs, tied up nice and tight, and I'm
God.
basically rolling into the kitchen to tell my mom, "Can you untie me?" But that just goes to show that I'm not saying that he discarded his family, but
No.
the community he was always there for. From being a firefighter, being a
Yes.
judicial marshal,
Both of your dads.
holding the doors at Potter's. He was the doorman at Potter's,
Oh, he was?
seeing their people at their worst. and just giving them a sense. That's
And as nice as your dad was, he seems like a guy you wouldn't want to mess with.
no.
So yeah, both of your dads just complete gentlemen, and your dad you see in church all the time. Give us a story about your dad, Ian.
Yeah, well, one of the things my father did as a part of the fire department is there was a group of guys who used to dress up as clowns and visit kids and doing things, and that to me was just always like one of the best things. That he would take time out of his off hours of working to go do stuff like that, because it meant so much to these little kids who are either sick or
And then do the different parades. I remember that. Yeah,
parades and. And just to see him getting dressed up was funny, and just one of the great things that I remember about him. And I always will. And fortunately, right now he's still with us, and going strong at 86. So
Give my best to him, and both your dads just incredible people, and give my best to your mother.
I will.
And we didn't get a chance to talk about Tyler.
No, too bad.
Maybe Tyler will have to be a future guest on Hometown Threads. We'll have to get him in here eventually. Jeff Griffin, Aunt Santalucia with us. What we should do is we should try and go get a show up at ECS if we can find the time.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Go
Three
do
of
a
us.
show at 90.1
Yeah,
for
there
all
we go.
time's sake,
Well,
since we all were on that frequency.
Yes, I.
Thank you to Jeff. Thank you to Aunt. Thank you to Liberty Bank, Be Community Kind. Of course, thank you to the man behind the boards pushing all the buttons, J. Matt Rupar. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Episode 48 in the books. Here on 14 WILI 95.3 FM and Willimantic Today Facebook. And in the words of the great Roddy McCumber,
Bye for now, folks. Bye for now.
And that concludes another edition of Hometown Threads. Got a story for Keith? Reach out to him on Facebook by searching Keith C. Rice. Or email him at krice@hallradio.net. Don't forget to tune in next week on 14 WILI and 95.3 FM, as well as the Willimantic Today page on Facebook.